Good day to everyone. I'm Mark Luigi Dangtayan, together with my group mates Joshua Bikisan and Joshua Destor. Today, we're going to discuss about the commitment and classification of prisoners and detainees. First, we're going to define what is commitment and classification. Commitment means entrusting for the confinement of an inmate to a jail by a competent court or authority for the purposes of safekeeping during the pendency of his or her cases. Ito po, matatalakay po natin mamaya po yung mga requirements for commitment bago po ang person shall be committed to any jail or facility. Okay, classification refers to assigning or to grouping of inmate according to their respective penalty, gender, age, nationality, health, criminal records. We have two categories of inmates, the prisoner and detainee. First, the prisoner. Those are inmates who is convicted by final judgment. Okay, ito po yung may final judgment na po. May hatol na po ng korte para sa kanila. Ito po yung tinatawag po natin ngayon na PDL, Person Deprived of Liberty. Ito po namang detainee ay who are inmate who is undergoing investigation trial or awaiting for final judgment. Ibig sabihin po, ito po yung nasa under investigation pa lang, undergoing po yung trial, hearing po nila. Ayun, wala pa pong final judgment. Sila po yung mga detainees. Prisoners, may final judgment, and detainees, wala pa pong final judgment. Ayun. Next po ang classification of prisoners. We have 4 classification of prisoners. Ang insular prisoners, provincial prisoners, city prisoners, and municipal prisoners. The first classification is the insular prisoner or the national prisoner. One who is sentenced to a prison term of 3 years and 1 day to reclusion perpetua or life imprisonment. Okay? Sila po yung duration po ng penalties nila ay 3 years and 1 day to life imprisonment or the reclusion perpetua or the life imprisonment. Okay, so yung insular prisoner po ay under po siya ng DOJ. The DOJ supervises the national penitentiaries through the Bureau of Correction or the BUCOR. Yun po. Remember po yung duration po ng penalties ng prisoners po sa insular prisoner ay 3 years and 1 day to reclusion perpetua or life imprisonment. Ang next classification po ay ang provincial prisoners. Okay, ito naman po ay under ng provincial government. Hindi po to under ng BJMP, under po siya ng provincial government. Ang sabi dito, ang provincial prisoners ay one who is sentenced to a prison term of 6 months and 1 day to 3 years. Okay? Yung duration po ng penalties nila ay 6 months and 1 day to 3 years. Yan po ang provincial prisoners. Ang next po ay ang city prisoner. Ito pong city prisoner at ang municipal prisoner ay under po siya ng DILG or the Department of Interior and Local Government. Yun na po yung under sa BJMP. Okay? Sabi po sa city prisoners, one who is sentenced to a prison term of 1 day to 3 years. Yung duration po ng penalties nila ay ang 1 day to 3 years. Next po ay ang municipal prisoner. One who is sentenced to prison term of 1 day to 6 months. Yun po. Duration po ng penalties ay 1 day to 6 months. Okay. Importante po ay ang para madali po natin may memorize po yung memorize po natin ay yung mga duration ng penalties po nila. Sa insular prisoner, 3 years and 1 day to reclusion perpetua or life imprisonment. Provincial prisoner, 6 months, 1 day to 3 years. City prisoners, 1 day to 3 years. And the municipal prisoner is 1 day to 6 months. Yun, next po ay ang classification of detainees. Yun po. Always remember po, pag sinabi po nating detainees, wala pa pong final judgment. Yun po. First classification is the undergoing investigation. Yun. Sila po yung under investigation pa lang. Yun po. Considered detainees na po sila because they need to be in jail while the investigation is ongoing or on process. Yung next po ay ang awaiting of undergoing trial. Okay, sila po yung ongoing yung hearing or undergoing yung trial po nila. Yun. Ang last po na classification ay awaiting final judgment. Yun na lang po yung hinihintay na lang po nila yung final judgment o yung hatol ng korte sa kanila. Yan po ang classification of detainees.
Inmates security classification. 1. High-profile inmate. Those who require increased security based on intense media coverage or public concern as results of their offense, such as but not limited to those who have been involved in a high controversial or sensationalized crime or those who became prominent. A person can only be called a high-profile inmate if they are famous or have a high status in life. Example, government officials, TV personalities, entrepreneurs, and other high personalities. Number 2, high-risk inmate. Those who are considered high, dangerous, and who require a greater degree of security, control, and supervision because of their deemed capability. This inmate is called high risk because of their ability to escape from prison. Another ability of high risk inmate is their ability to cause troubles inside the jail. Example is assault on inmates or staff and causing riots. Number 3, high value target. A target either a resource or a person who may either be an enemy combatant, high-ranking official, or a civilian in danger of capture or death, typically in possession of critical intelligence, data, or authority marked as an objective for a mission and which a commander requires for a successful completion of the same. Example of high value target is the leader of terrorist groups like Zulkifli Adir or alias Marwan. Number 4, security threat group. Any formal or informal ongoing inmates group, gang, organization, or association consisting of 3 or more members falling into one of the following basic categories. Example of security threat group is Tiny Rascal Gang, Blood, Crips, and other organizational group inside the prison. Number 5, subversive group. A group of persons that adopts or advocates subversive principles or policies tending to overthrow or undermine an established government. For example, is a team member disobeys orders from the leader of the group. Number 6, terrorist group. A group of persons that commit any of the following: piracy, mutiny in the high seas or in the Philippine waters, rebellion or insurrection, murder, kidnapping, and serious illegal detention, crimes involving destruction, arson, hijacking, violation of laws on toxic substances, and hazardous and nuclear waste control, violation of atomic energy regulations, anti-piracy and anti-highway robbery, illegal and unlawful possession, manufacture, dealing in acquisition or disposition of firearms, ammunition, or explosive. An example of terrorist group is Abu Sayyaf Group, ISIS and PA and other terrorist groups that committing criminal acts. Number 7. Violent extremists. A person whose political or religious ideologies are considered far outside the mainstream attitudes of the society, or who violates common moral standards and who has adopted an increasingly extreme ideals and aspiration resorting to the employment of violence in the furtherance of her beliefs. Violent extremists is focusing on their beliefs, which is spread messages of hate and violence, as well as religious, cultural, political, and social intolerance. They do it to recruit and retain their followers, and it may lead to terrorism. Number 8. Medium risk inmates. Those who represent a moderate risk to the public and staff. These inmates still require greater security, control, and supervision, as they might escape from and might commit violence inside the jail. These inmates have committed less serious crimes such as minor assaults and small thefts. Number 9. Minimum risk inmates. Those inmates who have lesser tendencies to commit offenses and generally pose the least risk to public safety. In most cases, they may be first-time offenders and are charged with light offenses like fraud, tax evasion, smuggling, money laundering, and others.
We have here number 5. Who can commit a person to jail? Basically, the courts and the other entities that are authorized to commit a person to jail. The following appeared below are the authorized to commit or put a person to jail. So, before we discuss briefly, I will give example for that. Are you familiar with a telenovela series na kapag sinabi ng isang bida na ikulong ang kaaway o kaalitan niya, is instantly na makukulong at dadamputin siya ng pulis. And after that, syempre ipapanish siya without proper due process. Syempre, in real life, that's not applicable. That's not how we put a person to jail na basta-basta na kung sinabi ng bida na ganito, ikulong yan. Dapat lang na makulong yan. Hindi. There must be some entities or authorized like mga korte, mga authorized person to do that one. So first is we have the Supreme Court. So Supreme Court is the highest court within the hierarchy of courts in many legal jurisdiction. In other words, ito yung pinaka main court na mas mataas. So, may mga lower courts pa kasi like the Court of Appeals, Sandigan Bayan Regional Trial Court, etc. So secondly, we have here the Courts of Appeals. So Court of Appeals is a court of law that is empowered to hear an appeal of a trial court. So itong si Court of Appeals is may power din siya na to judge a person that is accused. So we have here Sandigan Bayan. So Sandigan Bayan is decides and try criminal and civil cases against government official accused of graft and corruption. So, isang espesyal na korte ng apela ng Pilipinas na mayroong jurisdiction sa mga kasong kriminal pang-sibil o gobyerno katulad ng graft at corruption. O kasalanang ginagawa ng pampublikong opisyal or empleyado ng isang gobyerno. So we have here number 4, the regional trial court. So regional trial court is the exclusive original jurisdiction in all criminal cases. So ang regional, by the word itself, regional, ito ay panrehiyon na hukuman sa paglilitis. Or makikita natin sa mga by region, region 1, CAR, like that, and CR. So we have here the Metropolitan and Municipal Trial Court. So regulating the relationship among the people and the government. So by the word itself, metropolitan is what we see in city and municipal is in provincial. So yun. So we have here the municipal circuit trial court. So what is it covers two or more municipalities. So hawak niya ang dalawa o higit pang bayan sa mga probinsya. So ayun po. So we have here the Congress of the Philippines. So Congress is the bicameral legislature of the Philippines or ang lehislatibong branch ng gobyerno na mayroong Senado at House of Representative, mga Senates, mga senador. So lastly, we have here the other administrative bodies, the person authorized by law to arrest and commit person to jail. Yun. Kunwari yung presidente. I'm not sure kung pwedeng mag-order yung president na ikulong yung isang tao. But I think it is. So we have here number 6, requirements for commitment. So what is requirements for commitment? It is a person will commit to jail with required documents. So bago ikulong ang isang tao, kailangan niya ng documents to put that person into jail. So we have here the commitment order. So commitment order, it is a written order issued by court and other authorized entities by government. So secondly, we have here the medical certificate. Basically, a medical certificate is a medical record, written statement na sinulat ng isang physician which affirms that the result of medical examination. So with that, recent medical certificate taken within 24 hours prior to admission. So yan yung isang hinahanap bago ikulang isang kung may medical background ba yung prisoner. So we have here number 3, the compliant and information. So ito naman is isa sa mga paperworks na ginawa ng isang nagrereklamo na by the word compliant, it is someone who files a report of criminal wrongdoings to the police. I think this is yung blatter ata. If I was not mistaken, blatter. So, ang 4, we have here the police booking sheet. So, ano naman tong police booking sheet? It is a record or a personal information ng isang suspect and organized evidence na may kinalaman sa kaso. So, yun po yung police booking sheet. And lastly, we have here the certificate of detention issued by PNP and or NBI. It is the parang I think parang maano ka muna sa yung katungkulan bilang madedetent ka muna by the word itself, detention. So that's it. So by the way, thank you guys. Thank you.